Hi guys out there, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Jay Cherry here. Hopefully everything is going well with you guys in the snowy weather. I've been having lots of technical updates and stuff that I'm doing. So hopefully I don't run into any problems today, but I wanted to go live even though I've been having some technical glitches. So hopefully I've gotten my system all cleaned up and you guys, it's all moving well and you can hear me and things are working right. So I want to get into a couple of topics today. One is do you remember Dr. Fauci said that he believed children would be ready for vaccines by the spring or summer? Well, interestingly, as you read through the Moderna and Pfizer trials, you realize that they don't, there's some oddities there with the trials about the kids 12 to 15. It looked like Pfizer had done something with 12 to 15-year-olds, but they'd never used it for the EUA, the emergency usage authorization. Just to be perfectly clear, an EUA is not a biologics license. And what that means is that the vaccine is still experimental. Facebook is doing major crackdowns on discussions about vaccines that it deems is fake information. So hopefully this video will continue to go as I talk about these things that are very important, especially when they regard the welfare and safety of our children with an experimental vaccine. Obviously, there are some problems with getting folks to utilize the COVID-19 vaccinations. So Facebook is cracking down. And they're going to be putting these vaccines out to the kids soon. So I wanted to pull up this article about Moderna and the trials, the vaccine trials. Now, when I think about, a trial, what parent will put their kid as a guinea pig for a pharmaceutical? I mean, I just can't believe that any parent would do that. So let's take a look at this article. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. Hold on there as I pull this up. Now, this is Moderna. And let me see. Hopefully I don't lose you guys. I've been having some technical difficulties lately. I'm going to try and blow this up for you as well. So Moderna admits struggling to find tweens and teens willing to sign up. No kidding, really? So let's take a look at this. December 10th, 2020, American biotechnology company Moderna Inc., which is pioneering the development of experimental messenger RNA therapeutics and vaccines, gave a 12-year-old a dose of the company's mRNA 1273 vaccine in phase 2-3 the second part of the third part of the study. Moderna CEO Stefan Bancel said, "Our goal is to generate data in the spring of 2021 that will support the use of mRNA 1273 in adolescents in advance of the 2021 school year." Moderna was granted an emergency use authorization by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, on December 18th, 2020 for administration of the experimental COVID-19. Do you hear how they say that? They'll say it. So if this video gets flagged, this is just basic information about the experimental vaccine. And this is what it is. It's experimental. So listen to this. This gets even more crazy. Okay, so here's what they need to do. The estimated study completion date is June 30th, 2022. So when they're doing this study on the children, it takes a year. They're going to watch them for a year. But yet Fauci is saying that we're going to vaccinate kids as early as the spring. That's his words. That's what he's saying, as early as the spring. Okay, guys? Like, what here is going on? What kind of situation here is going on that he's going to do something like that with a experimental vaccine that hasn't even gone through trials with kids? They're having trouble filling in the trials for the children with the mRNA vaccine, as one could understand, because what parent is going to give the informed consent to have their child use this experimental product? because that's ultimately what it is. It's not a miracle. It's a product. It's a pharmaceutical product that they want to mandate this product on the citizens of the world, okay? But we'll focus on the United States because this is where we are. We're going to focus really on Connecticut as well, and current legislation that is going through, or they're trying to push through, with the elimination of the religious exemption to vaccinations. So let's just look a little bit more on this Moderna article, because it's really pretty interesting about how they're going to use kids. Check it out. All right, so Moderna needs to enroll at least 3,000 adolescent participants to provide a valid safety and efficacy data and to get authorization from the FDA for the COVID-19 biologic to be administered to children as young as age 12. However, by mid-January, the company acknowledged it was struggling to find enough adolescent volunteers. Really? What a shocker. Which will potentially delay FDA authorization of the mRNA coronavirus vaccine to be given to this age group. So this is Monsa Sulawi, who was under Trump, by the way, and he is like Mr. Vaccine. He's like the head of Gavi too. He's all connected. He kind of even looks scary, to be honest with you. The scientific head of the previous administration, Operation Warp Speed. And they say, you know what I find so hysterical? The absolutely most hysterical thing that I find about this whole scenario is when I see like fact checkers, you know, those fact checkers. Okay, so when I see the fact checkers, it's really pretty funny because they say, oh, no, the vaccine wasn't rushed. It wasn't rushed. What's Operation Warp Speed? Oh, but because that was Trump, it doesn't count? But that was something that that was bipartisan. They all wanted that. All right, let's just be really clear about it. What was Operation Warp Speed then? What does warp speed mean to you? So the fact checkers are saying that, oh, it wasn't fast track. They've been studying these vaccines for years. Yes, they have. And what they found with studying these coronavirus vaccines, because the Moderna vaccine they have had a patent for quite a while. This is what's really interesting. Novel coronavirus, right? So Moderna has a patent on this, and I'll get into that. As soon as you start talking patents, Facebook freaks out. So, and YouTube as well. Actually, there's an article that I should pull up and share with you about YouTube censoring the Senate with vaccine information. A friend of mine just sent that to me today, and I didn't put it in my show notes. So I'll cover that another time. But it's true. You guys could go look it up. It was in the Wall Street Journal, where YouTube censored hearings in the Senate committee about COVID stuff. And now maybe they'll say, oh, that was during the Trump presidency, so then we therefore had to censor those hearings. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. I just glanced at the headline today and said, oh my God, and I read like the first paragraph. That YouTube censored Senate hearings about COVID-19 treatments and things like that. So this is just like nuts, okay? So let me take you guys back to this article. Lordy, have mercy. Okay, so let's see. The Moderna teen trial called, listen to this, guys, Teen Cove, expects to enroll adolescents at up to 15 sites nationwide. Catherine Lazagia, MD, principal investigator of the University of Massachusetts Medical Center, one of the 15 trial sites that study participants will receive either an experimental biologic or a saline placebo 2-to-1 ratio. And it's amazing that they're using saline, because typically in vaccine trials, they do not. Okay, they do not. And the other thing that's really, really maddening is this is all proprietary information. So when anything is proprietary, that means they have rights to privacy and to hide things about what they're doing. I mean, think about that for a minute. Okay, it's just, what? These things are true, guys. Especially with patents, there's proprietary information, all kinds of different stuff. So, yeah, wow. I can't believe this is the world we're in. Anyway, this is about the trials for children. So those receiving the experimental biologic will receive 2 doses of 100 micrograms each, given 28 days apart as authorized for adults. Participants will be followed for 1 year. 1 year. I'm sorry that my cursor does that. I don't know. As soon as I get close to the word that I want, the cursor gets all weird. But 1 year, right there. 1 year after receipt of the second dose. They're hoping to enroll children from diverse communities. Here it goes, guys, especially those in Black and other minority communities, which reportedly have been most severely affected by COVID-19. Reportedly. The reason why I'm harping on that is because this just is, it's so strange. It almost feels like the Black community is being targeted for this vaccine. It really does. Okay, it's reported that it's more harmful in Black communities. I think just overall, you know, the whole healthcare industry is problematic. And we could go back and look at Tuskegee and things like that, and experiments that Dr. Fauci did. I did a whole show on this not that long ago. I think it was like last week, with Dr. Fauci doing experiments on foster children, Black foster children in Harlem. Black and Latino foster children in Harlem. They use these children without informed consent, and it's a really brutal story. And you can go check out the Vera Institute for more information. And yeah, I had that show. It's up on YouTube. I think it's still up there. I haven't gotten a flag that it's been taken down. So you can go to J Cherry Presents on YouTube and you can see that. I'm right at the moment trying to move stuff over to BitChute and working on all these tech things. So to get my videos into one secure location where people can see them and they'll be safe and they won't get taken down. Yes, but Fauci did experiment on foster children. These people have no ethics. They have no ethics. That's my opinion. Am I allowed to still have an opinion that I could freely express in the United States, where the First Amendment is protects my right to free speech? Or is now, because of the pharma gods, the superpowers, the Bill Gates and the Faucis of the world, they have control over all the information, the Facebooks, the Twitters, the YouTubes, controlling the information, the freedom of speech is just crazy, because we need to talk about this stuff because there's so much strangeness. Let me take you guys back to this article here. Okay. Hard for parents to justify enrolling children in a COVID-19 clinical trial. Ya think? Okay. So Yvonne Maldonado, MD, an infectious disease specialist at Stanford University of Medicine and chair of the Committee of Infectious Diseases for the Academy of Pediatrics, said it's crucial to get vaccine data for children of all ages, he said. Many of us want to see kids vaccinated for their own safety, of course, but also because it really reduces the chain of transmission. She observed that the fact that the COVID-19 is usually so mild in minors, it makes it hard for parents to justify enrolling their kids in trials. If the diseases were something that was very clearly impacting them in a hugely negative way, you'd probably see more interest there, she said. On January 22nd, 2020, Pfizer Inc. announced it had finished enrolling children between 12 and 15 years old in the study testing its COVID biologic as they seek to expand the shot's use among age groups. This study was announced in October and enrolled over 2,000 participants. Now, I want to say something about that, and I'm hoping that I can pull up this photo very easily without it being a major issue here, because I've been having some technical problems with my stuff. So I'm going to pull up this photo. I read through the entire Pfizer study. And it had a part in the study that I highlighted, and I've been sharing it. Hopefully I don't drop out on you guys as I'm trying to pull up many screens on my computer. So what was really interesting about Pfizer is that they had this study where they looked at children, okay? So they looked at children. Uh-oh, am I losing my photos? Hold on a second, guys, as I'm trying to get this up here. I want to pull this slide up for you. And my machine is running really wacky on this. So what happened is that they did this study, right? But they didn't have enough supporting data. So I'll show this to you guys, and you can decide for yourselves what you think of this particular statement just as I pull it up. I thought I had it up there, and lo and behold, this is my kind of day-to-day where I'm having some technical glitches. It's technology is a wonderful thing, but sometimes it stumps me. So bear with me as I try to pull up the slide. And hopefully I didn't I didn't clean it out of my cache of stuff. Let's see, make sure I got it over here. There it is. Sorry about that, guys. I'm going to pull this up. I don't want to make you dizzy while I'm pulling it up. I'm going to share the screen with you. Hold on while I get that. Let me share that with you guys. Okay, so you can see here. We can read this together. It's really kind of interesting what is here. So we have, look at this. Let me see, where do I want to start it here? Where we start with the sentence? Oh, maybe we'll just read the whole paragraph. Reactogenicity assessments included solicited injection site reaction. So reactogenicity is like something that happens right away, like right after the shot. Pain, redness, swelling, anaphylaxis, fever, fatigue, headache, chills, vomiting, diarrhea, or death. Somebody dropped dead outside of the Javits Center, FYI, in New York. They're investigating now. Wasn't a child because they're not vaccinating children yet. That, you know, anyway, outside of trials. And hopefully all of those children and parents are getting informed consent. So, medication use were recorded in an e-diary. At the data cutoff date for the EUA, reactogenicity events were not collected from adolescents 16 to 17 years of age enrolled prior to the implementation of the Protocol Amendment 9, finalized on October 29th, 2020. So this is when also, too, that they incorporate the 12 to 15-year-old age group. For any phase 3, I'm sorry, I went ahead of myself. Enrolled prior, blah, blah, blah. Using an e-diary, but were detected and reported as unsolicited AEs, adverse events. For any phase 3 participants who were not in the reactogenicity subset, local reactions and systemic events consistent with reactogenicity were detected and reported as unsolicited adverse events. HIV positive participants in adolescents 12 through 15 years of age were included in the reactogenicity subset with implementation of Protocol Amendment 6, finalized on September 8th, 2020. Amendment 7, finalized on October 6, 2020. Respectively, solicited reactogenicity data in adolescents 16 to 17 years of age are not available for the reporting period. Interesting, because they're going to be giving this to 16-year-olds. That's like the next group that's coming up, you know, as the kids. That they will be the first, the 16-year-olds, the first kids that will start to get this shot. And yes, 16, you're like a very, very young adult, but your body is still growing. Your brain has lots of development. Your muscles, you know, you're still growing. You're still a growing kid, actually. You're a teenager, right? So the reactogenicity data from a total of 100 adolescents 12 through 15 years of age enrolled in C4591001 phase 2-3 were provided in the EUA submission. However, the sponsor did not request inclusion of this age group in the EUA because the available data, including number of participants and follow-up duration, were insufficient to support favorable benefit risk determination at this time. Therefore, the reactogenicity data for participants 12 through 15 of age is not present in this document. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird? Like, that would be the first question I would ask as a journalist if I were able to ask Dr. Fauci or the governor or any of these people pushing these vaccines on children. I mean, this is just really crazy. And you can find that on the Pfizer document, page 15. I did not include that in my show notes, the Pfizer document link. I can easily do that, though, for you guys when I put the show note links in there. I'll add that and make sure that you have that. It's very easy to find the Pfizer, the Pfizer BioNTech information. And it's a 57-page document, and I highly recommend that you take a look at this document. All right, now let's move on along. I'm going to take you back over. Let's leave the dark trials on children, and we're going to jump a little bit here. Actually, maybe I should just stick with the vaccine stuff. Let me share with you this very important thing and talk about SB 568. So I'm going to pull that up for you. I'm going to pull up SB 568. Hold on a second while I share my screen. Now, this is really important here, because FC 568, hopefully I'm still streaming with you guys. I'm getting reports that my stream is not working well, but hopefully it's still going. Looks like I still have you guys on there, so hopefully it's still working. I see some comments over here, so you guys, I think, are still with me, hopefully. So an act eliminating the non-medical exemption to the immunization requirement. So what this means, basically, they're eliminating the religious exemption to vaccination that a percentage of families are utilizing. And when it comes to religion, government doesn't decide what religion is. The state of Connecticut has been trying to say that parents are abusing this right, faking religion, to stop their children from getting a vaccine because they're bad anti-vaxxers. Those bad anti-vaxxers are just trying to sabotage their plans for public health and safety. No. Okay, there are numerous reasons why people use the religious exemption for vaccination. Numerous ones. Okay, and the state has no right to decide how you see or feel or identify with God. Okay, there is no state religion. There's no state church. Religion isn't defined as organized religion. That's not how it works. Religion isn't defined as organized religion. Organized religion isn't what the founders of the Constitution meant when they put religious freedom from persecution by governments in there. That's not what they meant. It wasn't like, oh, if you're Catholic, you have this religious recognition. Nope, zero, zilch, not the thing. You could be Catholic and take advantage of your religious rights and freedom. You could have no religion and be an atheist and still take advantage of it because you have a right to your own spiritual beliefs to decide what goes into your body. So that argument by the state is moot and unconstitutional, and have no right to even question your religious freedom to deny a medical product in your own body, okay? So let's take a look. Let's take it back here. This just makes me so crazy. So why this is really important is that they're going to kick a lot of these kids out of school because parents are not going to do it. And they're putting families in very desperate situations. So the thing about this hearing that's going to be happening, we suspect it could be February 16th, but they play games with us. Now, what they've done is they've put the hearing on a Zoom. They put the hearing on a Zoom, which is the most ironic thing. Makes me want to pull up another photograph of the hypocrisy for you guys, because you just can't make this stuff up. I mean, it's just, to me, the craziest thing that I've ever seen in my life here. Honestly, I can't even, I can't even. So let me find this here. Hold on a second. I'm taking you through all my photos. Let me pull you back onto me while I go through this. Let me find this here. Here's our lovely Dr. Fauci. We'll start here with him. So here he is saying, that the COVID-19, the U.S. likely to start COVID-19 vaccination in children by late spring, early summer. Meanwhile, they haven't even finished the trials, and Moderna just said, we just read that article together where Moderna's saying it's going to take a year to know what the effects are. And this guy is sitting here saying this. Here you go, your lovely Dr. Fauci. The German Nazis, the Nazi Socialist Party, because that's what they were called, okay? The Nazi Socialist Party, they had Dr. Mengele. We have Dr. Fauci now. I'm not saying Dr. Fauci is a Nazi. I'm just looking at history, because those that don't know history will repeat it. But one of the things that the Nazis did use was public health and socialism. I know people are going to get very upset that I say that, but this is where we can have good discourse. I'm happy to have good and reasonable discourse about this, the slippery slope of socialism. I know it may sound good, but the reality is, who controls the top? What interests are controlling the top? You know who's controlling the top? This guy. That guy is. This Fauci guy who wants to give an experimental vaccine to your child, while the state of Connecticut takes one of the few exemptions that you have to utilize for your children and take that right away from you. With the government deciding what is going to go into your child's body. And let me tell you something. It's not just the kids, okay? Because they have this whole attitude with the adults too. The House Speaker, Matthew Ritter, oh, he's a real charmer, let me tell you. He's like such a charmer, Matthew Ritter. I gotta say, you know, Matthew Ritter. Let me just pull up some of the hypocrisies here. I'm gonna start with Governor Lamont, since I started with him in the beginning. I'm jumping around a little bit. I'll pull into Matthew Ritter and why you should be very concerned, because his company, Shipman and Goodman, is advising employers how to mandate the vaccine to employees and saying this within their right, and they can do that, and it's all this stuff. But anyway, let's see. Until we address the unserved broadband challenges in our state, we will not have equitable access for all and achieve the economic recovery that we need. So why I'm bringing this up is to point out the hypocrisy, because he is putting this very important hearing that's going to eliminate the religious exemption for vaccination for Connecticut's school children in both public and private schools, and push families either into doing something against their wishes to their child, or pulling their children out of school completely. For some families, it's just not possible to homeschool. It's just not. You're putting a huge economic stress on people that cannot handle it. I bumped into a mom, devastated. I think it was one of the most heartbreaking days I've ever had at the Capitol. I literally was going into the elevator, and this young mom, and she's like, I'm out of my element. She sees me in there, and she's just like thankful. It's like, I take her, and I'm like, here, follow me. I'll take you into the hearing. And she's in tears. She said, I don't know what I'm going to do. How am I going to survive? She got this little baby on her, in a baby sling, and a little toddler with her, like a 3 or 4-year-old, and this mother is in tears. You got people, the mothers are crying at the Capitol. They're crying. That's a problem. Where does government get to do that to people? How is that okay? Have we forgotten history? Have we forgotten the massacre of the Jews in the Holocaust? Not only was it Jewish, it was the Gypsies, the Romanians, and the Poles. What about the Khmer Rouge? Okay, I was just reading an article about that same kind of thing. These are old tactics that they use, where the government says it's for your own good, for the greater good, so everybody's equally poor and enslaved. That's what it means. Unbelievable. So let me show you our House Speaker, Matthew Ritter, who is so politically connected. His mother's, what's his mother's last name? I want to say Kathleen Keller. I want to say it's Kathleen Keller. It's not Ritter. Sorry, my dogs are going to bark because my husband's coming home early. So just ignore them. So let me just pull up Matthew Ritter here. Hold on a second. Let me go grab him. I don't want to grab him while I make you guys dizzy. Hold on a second. Let me go pull him up. So Matthew Ritter is oh my gosh, he's the House Speaker. Where did that slide go? Hold on a second, guys. I thought I had it more organized here, and I'm distracted because the dogs are barking, and the husband's just coming in. And all right, let me pull up Matthew Ritter. Here he is, and this is why it's really important to share this with you guys. So here he is. Hold on a second while I pull this up. So there's Matthew Ritter. He is a partner at Shipman and Goodwin. He is also the aggressive proponent to eliminate the religious exemption to vaccination. He has been pushing this since 2015. He is also being quoted in a newspaper. Okay. Photos quit unexpectedly. Ugh. Hopefully that didn't happen, guys, where I'm losing you. Anyway, having some troubles with my technology today. So he has been pushing this since 2015, and he was quoted saying that the COVID-19 vaccine, when it's available to children, will be put on the schedule. It's very easy for the state of Connecticut to put the COVID vaccine on the schedule. And part of their goal, as they're totally cutting into the religious rights and freedoms and forcing these vaccines that people don't want on their families and on their children, is that things like the HPV vaccine, which, by the way, the state of Connecticut has bought millions of dollars worth of doses of the HPV vaccine. All you have to do is read the budget. That's all you have to do, is read the Connecticut budget. It's very enlightening. I read that they do the budget. It's like a couple-year budget. So you can, I did the last budget And I haven't updated that, but my research, I found that the state of Connecticut was spending around $9 million on the HPV vaccine, which they did try to mandate. They tried to push that through in 2019, and that failed, fortunately. So, but the point is that the state of Connecticut could basically put any one of these vaccines onto the schedule. They have a super majority in the state of Connecticut. Governor Lamont has a super majority. It's like cake. Okay? So I want to just go into a little bit more about why you should be concerned about this Matthew Ritter guy. So this is Shipman and Goodman. And what's important, and I've talked about this before, so guys who've seen me just badgering on and on and on about this, let me see if I can get that so you can, I'm sorry if it's really small. I don't know how that appears on your screen. I'd like you guys to be able to read along with me. So I won't spend too much time on reading this, but let's just see. Can we mandate that our employees get the vaccine? This is Shipman and Goodman, and they just recently did a whole seminar on how employers can mandate this vaccine to their employees. Because one of the things that all politicians will say, well, we're not going to mandate this shot. It's not going to be, we can't mandate a shot. Well, they use coercion because they're always saying this. You hear these politicians say it all the time. We're not forcing you to vaccinate your child. You just have to homeschool. It's so passive aggressive. It's so mind-bogglingly passive aggressive and kind of cruel, actually. Not kind of, it is cruel. And it is a mandate, and it is by coercion that they are doing this. So here we go. Although the EEOC, that's the acronym, it's like a federal program, I want to say the Equal Opportunity Employment, whatever. It's a federal thing that everybody's supposed to follow that gives workers' rights and all that. So guidance does not explicitly answer the question. It is clear from the guidance that mandatory vaccine programs are permissible under federal law. Yeah, if you twist it, I guess anything could seem permissible if you play this word game and you play these games and you don't say this or you don't say that or you say it like this. Well, you don't have to get the vaccine, but then we might have to just lay you off. You see how it works? So, okay, when and how employers can mandate vaccines will depend on a variety of factors, including the availability of the vaccine. And let me just point this out. Nobody can mandate this vaccine right now to anybody because it's not even been licensed as a biologic, though that probably is going to happen because they bought up all these vaccine doses before they even issued the emergency usage authorization. Okay, this is how insane this is. When and how employers can mandate, I'm rereading that. Employers should be mindful that the current COVID-19 vaccine is approved for emergency use. See, they're letting you know, right? Full approval is expected in early 2021. Even though they admit that they really don't know what the whole trial is. It's all one giant experiment that they just don't know. But yet go ahead and take it. And don't talk about it because Facebook is going to be really cracking down because, you know, they want to boost vaccine confidence. What world are we in? What planet are we on that we are going to give up our sovereign rights to our own bodies, to our own children, to the government? Where does that lead? How did it lead for the Nazis? How did that work? Did that work out well? If we mandate vaccines, what things should we consider? Oh, how considerate of them. There are numerous legal issues that can arise through a mandatory vaccine program and precautions employers should take. For example, this is Shipman and Goodman. Okay, this is the House Speaker's, he's a partner at this firm. I just want to let you guys know that Shipman and Goodwin is an international lawyer lobbyist firm that works with huge, gigantic clients, governments, hospitals, doctors, all that. Businesses, big ones, not little ones. This isn't the little guy thing. This is like big, huge business, a big, giant lobbying firm. Don't you think that there's an ethical concern here that our House Speaker, Matthew Ritter, is a partner with this organization and he is actively pushing to eliminate the religious exemption to vaccination? Do you see the problem here? Okay, so he goes into talking about what they could do. If an employer requires a vaccine, it must ensure that pre-screening questions are job-related, consistent with business necessity. If an employer has a voluntary vaccine program, any answers to pre-screening disability-related questions must also be voluntary. The ADA requires employers to keep an employee's medical information obtained in the course of a vaccine program confidential, and employers must be mindful of other relevant laws such as Genetic Information Non-Discrimination Act. Whether to use a third party to administer the vaccine within the workplace or whether employees will be allowed to obtain it on their own and then provide proof of vaccination. There may be legal and practical considerations. And if the employee refuses to get vaccinated, the EEOC guidance makes clear that employers must discuss whether reasonable accommodations are available to employees who cannot get the vaccine due to a disability or due to religious beliefs, because yes, we have that also in Connecticut for our children, and we have that at the national level just in general, okay? That's one of the first freedoms. These rights are protected. They're inalienable rights. The founders of our Constitution and Bill of Rights, which is not racist. Those things are not racist. We can go all about that and all into that. Yeah, we definitely have a history and bad things in our past and done horrible things, as has all societies throughout the world. And yes, we could do better. I agree. But the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, it's a pretty cool document. And let me just remind folks that it was the Bill of Rights and the United States Constitution that helped free the slaves on the Amistad that claimed mutiny and landed in Connecticut and were able to use a court of law to get their freedom back. Let's just be real about what our history is, all the parts of it, including things like that, because that's important. So basically our Bill of Rights and Constitution says all people. It doesn't say just white people. It says all people. Yes. Were people abused and oppressed? Yes. Are there still racists in this country? Absolutely. There still are jerks everywhere you go. But let's just be real that the Bill of Rights and the Constitution is a good thing. What else are we going to do? Just let the government control everything? Because they're just so woke and not racist. Give me a break. Okay, one more thing I want to share with you guys on this. Hold on a second. So the last part of it here, I just want to read these last parts. The immense and potential harm. Ultimately, if no reasonable accommodation is available, e.g. remote work, and the individual's presence would constitute a direct threat, in quotations, direct threat, to the workplace. The EEOC guidance states that the individual's employment can be terminated. Such decisions can be complicated, however, and employers may want to consult their legal counsel before taking action. This is Matthew Ritter, the House Speaker of Connecticut. Good to know, huh? That's a real big, huge ethical concern, in my opinion. But then again, Governor Lamont, whose wife is the founder of Oak Healthcare FinTech, is heavily connected to the medical industrial complex and has principal holdings in Sema4, the largest tester in the state of Connecticut. She also has her fingers in the vaccine pie and her fingers in the tracking and tracing pie. And just a little fun historical fact on Ned Lamont. Edward Minor Lamont. His grandfather, Thomas Lamont, was a partner at JP Morgan and Chase. Just think about that. He's a trust fund kid. They have these trust funds and money that we don't know about. Ned kind of plays this, he has this, he did with, more kind of like this goofy, harmless millionaire. Well, he's not a millionaire. He's a billionaire. They were in the rich people club. The club that George Carlin told us all about? It's a big club, but you ain't it. It's a little club or a big club. I forget how he said it. But you ain't in it. They make all these decisions. They don't care about you. You know what they think? They think they're above us because they have so much money. They're above us. They should be ruling us. We're too stupid to be ruling ourselves. We're just dirty little commoners to them. Anyway, do you think they give their kids all these vaccines? I wonder about this. That's something that I ponder about. I don't have any proof on it. Somebody was sharing an article a while back that Bill Gates doesn't vaccinate his kids. I bet he doesn't, but yeah, I don't think his doctor was giving out that information. But whatever. Got to be careful with all the information out there. We can assume things, but we can't say things are fact unless we have like really hard proof, because it doesn't do good for the medical freedom movement in general. Sorry, I don't want to get too long-winded here. I'm going to move off of that. I'm going to take you guys back over to here. So let me share this petition with you. Let me just go back over here and remind you guys what's going on in case anybody just popped in. Hold on a second while I put this up here. So this proposed bill, SB 568, and there's another bill too. They introduced two. There's one on the Senate and one in the House. So this is a Senate bill introduced by Senator Mary Doherty Abrams of the 13th District. And so she put this out there, and it's to eliminate the non-medical exemption. They should call it to eliminate the religious exemption. They don't want to use that word because it doesn't want to come off as discriminatory, which is exactly what this bill is. It's a discriminatory bill that has the potential to kick out thousands of children from public and private schools in the state of Connecticut, also pushing families to ultimately relocate and leave. And if people think that's not true, just go and look at states where this has happened. In fact, last year, during HB 5044, which was the same bill, thousands of people came out to testify. The hearing went on for 24 hours, or just under 24 hours. And there were some parents that came up to testify from New York. And Brooke Jordan gave a fabulous testimony. In fact, I should have pulled her testimony up, but I pulled something up by Dr. Aaron Lewis that I'm going to end the show with because I want to share his speech. He's just such a wonderful advocate. He ran for mayor in Hartford. He should have won. He would have made a great mayor of Hartford, Dr. Aaron Lewis, just a really good human being. And that would have represented the people instead of Luke Broen, who is a Greenwich transplant, who is there for a reason, and it ain't for the people of Hartford. I'll tell you that much. I don't want to get too sidetracked. So, yeah. So this is to eliminate the non-medical, the religious exemption to vaccinations, because I hate calling it immunizations. It implies that it makes you immune, and vaccines don't necessarily do that. Anyway, for individuals attending public or private school from pre-kindergarten through grade 12, individuals in higher education, and children in daycare centers. So, they've grandfathered in the public school children, or they said they're going to, but once the bill hits the floor, anything can happen. It's really kind of a crooked thing that they do. They play these games, and now the people are locked out of the people's house, so we can't even go inside while they're voting. We can't go inside for a hearing. We're forced to have a hearing on Zoom. Over 11,000 people signed a petition, which the Public Health Committee completely ignored, and still are going to try and ramrod this bill out of committee, to put it out there, put the hearing, vote to put it on the floor, and once it goes on the floor, anything can happen. The bill could die. The bill could have amendments put into it that could take out the grandfather clause. It could be all kinds of things. But the other point I'm trying to make, if you have kids that you plan on having going to college in Connecticut, they will be subjected to this as well. There will be no means of opting out of this vaccination, so thereby you become a product of the state of Connecticut. Do you see why religious freedom is important? I know that religion has a bad name these days, and it's not religion. Let's not think of it as religion. Let's think of it as spiritual freedom, because it's not about an organized religion, like you're going to be Christian or a Buddhist or Jewish or whatever, Muslim, whatever. You could be nothing. I just believe there's a higher power. And it's my God-given right to guard over what's going into my body and that of my children's body. And the state of Connecticut does not get to decide if that's a legitimate reason to decline a medical product from a pharmaceutical company that has no liability. Let's that other part sink in. None of these vaccines have liability. None of the vaccines on the childhood schedule have liability. They're all liability-free. And that is because of the 1986 Vaccine Injury Act signed by Ronald Reagan, which gave us the vaccine adverse reporting system and the government monkey vaccine court. I'll call it that, because it's not really court. You don't have tort law. You don't get those benefits of discovery, things like that. Being able to depose people, depositions and things. Those are things in law that help us win cases and point to the truth. That's how, the product that Merck created, Vioxx, and how it killed a lot of people. Well, we were able through discovery to find out that Merck knew their product Viax could kill people and still put it on the market. But you don't get that with any of the vaccines on the childhood schedule because they're all indemnified. Very few vaccines are not indemnified. The other vaccine that isn't indemnified is Zostavax. Zostavax, you can sue for that. And here's the funny thing about that. You can sue Merck, the makers of Zostavax, for injuries due to their Zostavax vaccine. But Merck, the makers of Verifax, which is the chickenpox vaccine for children, you can't sue. So the injuries to Verifax and Zostavax are very similar because they're both dealing with the varicella virus, okay? So they're very, very similar. So the Zostavax, which isn't covered by the 1986 Vaccine Injury Act, they were sued. Merck was sued so much for Zostavax that they're taking it off the market. And you could go and you could just Google it up, even on a silly Google that censors everything. Well, I haven't done it in a while, and Google's trying to erase stuff. So maybe try it on DuckDuckGo and see if you can find it there. But you could just look up Zostavax. You can even ask a pharmacist, because I was asking him, so do you still have the single shot available? And she went on to say that, no, they've got a better one now, Synergex or whatever the heck it is. But yeah, Zostavax was sued. But Merck couldn't be sued for Verifax, which injures many, many children, their chickenpox vaccine, because it's indemnified via the 1986 Vaccine Injury Act. Now with COVID, it's totally indemnified. It's the PrEP Act. Okay, so it's like double duty indemnified because this isn't even a licensed biologic. And some scientists argue that the Pfizer vaccine, the mRNA vaccines are not even a biologic. They're a gene therapy, a drug therapy. Now, I'm going to get flagged, so I'm not going to get into too much discussion about mRNA. But that's never been used in humans before. Yes, they have studied this in animal trials years ago. And when they would vaccinate the animals with this corona mRNA, because Moderna has the patents on 1273. And so when they experiment on animals, the animals develop the antibodies. And as soon as they run into the natural infection, they have a cytokine storm and they die. So there are scientists talking about pathogenic priming, enhanced immune disease. It's like the potential to put your body into like a ticking time bomb state of, like some people could have a cytokine storm, which is the whole thing what they'll say about COVID. COVID could produce a cytokine storm if you run into it in a natural way, and that's what could throw people really sick. I'm not going to get into all of those details right now, as I'll definitely get this video taken down of Facebook and YouTube. And I don't want that to happen. I'm going to try and stay on these platforms as long as possible. By the way, follow me on Telegram. I'm also on Float, which is kind of interesting and trying to just build outside of the tech giants. And I think people should come together and take a class action lawsuit if we're really heavily censored and pushed off, because it's not right. And they have a monopoly on these public airways, which is what they are. I mean, let's not kid ourselves about Facebook and DARPA. And anyway, I'm not going to get into that. I just want to share this with you guys. This is the petition to oppose SB 568. So you can sign your district. This is great. Whoever put this together, kudos to you. I'm going to put all of this into the comments. As soon as I stop this live, I'll put it in there, but you can just go see different districts. They've got it, Democrat and Republican. The red squares are Republican and blue squares are Democrats. You could click on whichever district. It's going to take you to their page where you can read and you can sign it and put your zip code, submit. Boom, bada bing. It's really, really helpful. Some of the things that you can do that are really, really helpful to protect your children. And if you don't have children, but you know people who do, and you feel for this situation, please sign. If you're a grandparent, if you're an aunt, if you're an uncle, if you're somebody who's never going to have kids, but you just think this is crappy, please sign it. You have to be in a state of Connecticut, though. Don't sign if you're not in Connecticut. It'll be discounted. We have to have Connecticut signatures. That's real important. So this is just such a cool thing that they put together. I think this is great. Whoever put all this together, and you go through all of the districts, guys. So just remember that you have, oops, I'm not sharing this with you. We have state representatives and senators. So find out who your district is. You can even go on to the CGA website. Let me just take you here real quick. I'll give you just a little peruse how easy it is. So there's a general website, cga.ct.gov. I like to use this on my my PC or my laptop because it makes it just easier than doing it on your phone. Everything's really convenient. These are all the different committees. You can go and see who your reps are. You can find, so you can go to the House members list. It's very nice. I'm just going to click on it just to show you. You can find out what your district is, and it lists it by district. We'll get them in order. So Matthew Ritter, there he is. The first district is Hartford. Review list. These are all the bills that he is signing his name onto. Okay, so this is just him. He's kind of not got a lot going on. He's got his fingers in all kinds. Don't he just look like a guy you could trust? I shouldn't pick on him. Anyway, so you could just pick on any one of these, and it's great because you can see. Let's go to Senator Anwar. Where is he over here? Anwar. He's an S. So I'm just going to go over to S. You go all, down here, all the districts. I'm not going to go scrolling all the way down there for him, but you could just see. I'll just pick on anyone here. I wanted to pick on one that I know is busy. I know Anwar is. Maybe Kennedy is. I'm not really sure if she's busy or not. But you could see her list right here. And so these are all the different things. An act concerning the administration of vaccines by medical assistants. See, these are just, and so then you can just click on the bill, right? And this is such a great website. So if there are a bill that you really want to follow, you can do that, and you can see where the bill is. This gives you, if it's new, it's a couple days old, it's 5 days or older, so we know that this bill is over 5 days old. It gives you the history. You can add it to my bills, and you can follow it, and here's where you can add, go to the public testimony, where you can testify. At this time, the bill is available through legislative committee. So this wouldn't be where you go to testify. You go into the committee to sign up to testify. So I can go through that more with you guys, but I just wanted to give you a brief overview. So let me take you over to, I don't know why it's running funny on me. Let me take you over to the Senate members list and take you over to Doherty, who is the senator who's introduced this bill. She's also the co-chair of the Public Health Committee. Oh, that's right, Senator Anwar. He's a senator, duh. I'm like looking for him in the House of Representatives. So, here's Senator Anwar. He's very active. Senator Anwar is very, very active. Every Connecticut resident should know their way around this website. In fact, children, high schoolers should spend time going through this website. Middle and older primary grades should all know how to use this website, how to follow bills, all about how to testify, even taking trips to the Capitol, which the Capitol should be open. This is what civics is. This is what we are lacking in our society today. Unfortunately, I'm having some little difficulties here. So this is what he's up to. This is one senator, guys. These are all the bills that Senator Anwar is up to. Look at this list. Look at this. Some of this stuff is really, really scary. Ooh, look at this one. Oh man, look at this one. An act establishing the Healthy Housing Assistance Pilot Program. I don't even know what that, rental assistance to enable families and children, okay, with asthma to move and to be healthier. Everything sounds all good on the surface, but it's just interesting. So I don't want to get too sidetracked with that. Just wanted to give you a quick look at the different things that are going on here. So here's Doherty. She is the one that introduced SB 568. And you can follow the bill. You can see the bill here. Unfortunately, I'm running really slowly. It's like all wrapped up. So there she is. And these are all the different bills that she's introduced. Not as long as Anwar. Anwar's list is crazy long. That's like intense. So here's her, where did it go? 568. There it is. An act eliminating the non-medical exemption to immunization requirements. So you could see, you could travel all around here. You could look up statutes. You can follow bills. You can sign up for email lists that'll let you know when the committees have met. We'll give you a tally of the voter sheet. It's a great website. It's free. It's easy to use. Use it on your laptop or a PC because it's just a lot more functional, I think, and easier to follow. So last but not least, I wanted to share this article with you. This is out of Connecticut. This is out of the Yankee Institute for Public Policy. This really blew my mind away. So this woman here, she Audrey Hussey, she got fined $2,000 for, it's a great article. I highly suggest you read it. She got a divorce. And she had an opportunity. She was married for 30 years. She got a divorce. She's falling on economic hard times. And she's trying to figure out a means that would allow her to, be able to provide for herself and for her family. She has like 6 kids. So she's an athlete, and she's like a kickboxer or a karate expert or something like that. And she wanted to open up her own karate school. So she found somebody in New Orleans in Louisiana. I'm sorry, not New Orleans specifically, but Louisiana. And it was an affordable opportunity where somebody could help her get her stuff off the ground. Well, what happened was, she had no idea what was going on. If you read the article, it talks about how she, she lived in, the person that she was going to see lived in Louisiana. She got a cheap flight. She goes, it was something I needed to do, Audrey said. Go somewhere by myself. I was married for 30 years. I'd been in a house with 8 people for 30 years. And all of a sudden, I'm alone. I'm terrified. I'm like, this is going to be a game changer for me, Audrey said. This is going to be a turning point in my life. I'm literally trying to create a life. My divorce wasn't final. I was in the throes of just complete depression, and I had to just get out of here, Audrey said. So I hop on a plane, and I hope in my heart that I'm going to plan this. I met with this consultant down there, and we set up a website and a business plan. And she left her children with her father, and she took all the precautions. She did everything they wanted her to do at the airport. She wore a mask. She's hand sanitized. She spent 3 days working with the consultant and seeing in New Orleans that was eerily quiet and empty. She returned on July 28th back into Providence, and then coming to Connecticut, she picked up her children. Now, meanwhile, the article goes on to say also that she did not know. She didn't have cable TV. She wasn't following news. She had no idea that there was this travel restriction where she had to take a test or sign that she was there or anything like that. She had no idea. So what happened? This is the part. This is the part that is. This is how governments oppress people. Okay. This is how the Nazis oppressed people. It's how the brutal dictators in the Khmer Rouge oppressed people, how Stalin oppressed people. So Audrey's trip to New Orleans was fateful. The meeting with the karate school consultant was productive, but she made a mistake. She took a picture of herself in the Big Easy and posted it to Instagram. When a former neighbor, someone she had considered a friend, saw the post, she alerted Connecticut's authorities. Can you believe that? This, get a life. Get a freaking life. Really? You alert the authorities? What? Come on. I know, they're using fear tactics and whatnot and all this, that, and the other thing, but can't you mind your own damn business? Unbelievable. So, on August 4, 2020, one day after her divorce was finalized, Audrey received a call from the Department of Public Health informing her she would be subjected to a $2,000 fine for failure to fill out travel form and not quarantining after travel to a state listed on Connecticut's advisory. So Audrey quickly got tested, and she called the DPH. And so on August 10th, Lamont announced the state had begun its first round of imposing fines on people who either broke the travel advisory or quarantine rules, King Lamont says. And note, there's no science backed in any of this. This is the first time in history that healthy people have ever been required to quarantine, okay? Let's just be straight with that. Social distancing, there's no science to that. In fact, it was like a kid's science project who started this whole thing, whose father is like involved in the government or something to that effect. Interesting history on that. But there's no science. There's no randomized controlled trials that show that social distancing does anything. That masks, same thing. There's no randomized controlled trials. These are all anecdotal assumptions, not based in science, but based in theory. Hypothesis, ideas. So here he goes on to say, they're paying a $1,000 fine. One of them didn't fill out the form and refused to quarantine, and we noticed by a workmate of that person, he's bragging about this, and they're paying an additional $1,000 for violating the quarantine. I hate to do it, but we're going to have to be serious and show people how serious we are. Lamont, whose wife is the founder of Oak Healthcare FinTech, who stands to make a lot of money off of the SEMA4 testing here in the state of Connecticut, tracking and tracing, vaccines and all that. But don't worry, the state of Connecticut Ethics Board said it's okay because, you know, the Lamonts will do the right thing. We trust them. Unbelievable. This is the problem when people don't pay attention and allow their civic responsibility and their civic duty to fall by the wayside because they're complicit and comfortable in their house and they think they don't have to pay attention to the government. That, we'll just indoctrinate socialism and we don't have to pay attention to everything. The government will decide everything for us. Yeah, not a good idea. So she goes on to say that she's not guilty. She was never aware of the travel restrictions. Governor Lamont first issued travel restrictions requiring travelers to fill out notices of self-quarantine on June 24th. And so it just goes in. Audrey could have lied about where she was. It's a very interesting article. There was one more part where it was saying about, here, I wanted to read this part of the article to you. So not only did her friend snitch on her, but she got the cancel culture after her too. You know, those woke folks on Facebook and Instagram, they think they got some, big cojones. And they're going to tell you online that you're selfish and you should be doing this and you should be doing that and they ain't got a life and have nothing better to do but be nosy. Yeah, them people. Okay, so let's see what they did to her, these ignoramuses. I'm sorry, that's my opinion. You're going to treat people like that, you're an ignoramus. I can say that. Well, maybe not. Who knows? Maybe I'll get flagged for being rude. It's possible. So here we go. So then came a minor social media pile-on, part of today's internet shaming culture. Audrey says the hint that Connecticut's first COVID violator had recently returned from Louisiana was enough for some people to connect the dots and started receiving messages on social media accusing her of endangering lives. And it was humiliating, Audrey said, because they knew right away when they said somebody went to Louisiana, dozens of people messaged me immediately saying they were talking about you on the news. I had people message me saying, what were you thinking? That's so selfish. Audrey said, I'm sitting here struggling to pay to live and I'm selfish. Okay. But she was also angry. She didn't feel that she had knowingly done anything wrong. And she did feel that she should be made, did feel she should not be made an example of. Well, you guys can finish reading that article just to give you a little bit more information on it. So Craig Fishbein and Representative Craig Fishbein and Doug Dubinsky took her case on pro bono, and they were able to knock the fine down to $200, but she's still going to fight. Good for Audrey for being a fighter, because it wasn't right. She didn't realize that Ned Lamont had made these executive edicts, orders by fiat. Yeah, fiat. Executive order by fiat. That's real undemocratic. Executive order. So we're being ruled every which way till Sunday by executive order. Now at the federal level too, just like executive orders, just write the laws. Even though our Constitution clearly states that presidents, governors, those folks, they're not supposed to be writing laws. That's the body of Congress that's supposed to be writing laws, because Congress is supposed to represent you, the people. But at the federal level, it's just a bunch of millionaires and they don't care about us. None of them do. I don't know. We've got a rocky road ahead of us, guys. So anyway, they represented her. She's got a GoFundMe campaign. I will put the notes in the video after I do this, finish this stream, which I'm going to finish it up now. And yeah, so that's the story of Audrey. And that's how governments, there was one last thing I wanted to share with you guys. Let me pull this up. There's one last thing I wanted to share with you guys that's relevant. One last thing. This is important, and it connects. I almost forgot about this, and it's pretty important. I'm just looking it up. It was on my wall. Here it is. Let me share this with you guys. Hold on a second while I pull this up. This is out of the WINY radio article here. Let me just blow this up for you guys a little bit. Okay. From the newsroom, Boston AP, state officials investigated more than 1,400 complaints about violations of the state's coronavirus restrictions last year, ranging from allegations of employees and customers not wearing face coverings to failing to report positive tests among workers. The Salem News, citing information from the State Executive Office of Labor and Workforce Development, and reported that of those cases, only 25 led to citizen citations, while another 159 resulted in warnings. Another 56 businesses received cease and desist order. Way to kill small business. Yeah, the government's good. Ha! Kidding. I'm being completely facetious about that. Okay, so the Salem News, citing information from the state's Executive Office of Labor and Workforce Development, I'm sorry, I jumped over too far. Another 56 businesses received cease and desist orders. A wide range of businesses were hit with complaints, from gyms, ice cream parlors and nail salons, to restaurants, bars, supermarkets, retail stores, auto dealerships, and golf ranges. And that, my friends, is how oppressive governments achieve their goals, using ignorant people to be tattletale snitches. So, think about that for a minute. And it's a very unfortunate thing. It's the oldest trick in the book, and it works like a charm. Turn the public on the public. And then the government doesn't have to worry about how to enforce these draconian laws and rules, because they've turned portions of the public on itself. And that's the sadness of humanity, the weakness in humanity, the ignorance in human nature that would lead somebody to do something like that. Maybe they think they really believe all this stuff, that everything's so dangerous, even though there's a 99.6% survival rate. And you can go to the world odometer meter, which will tell you all the cases and deaths and all that, and it's 99.6% survival rate. And I'm not sure what society locks up their young and healthy to protect their old and frail. Now, that doesn't mean that I think we should throw old and frail people under the bus and not care for our most vulnerable folks. I think that we should care for our vulnerable folks, but not at the sacrifice of our businesses, our freedom, our health, our bodily autonomy. I think there are other means and ways that humanity could rise above and deal with any type of infectious virus. We will be dealing with viruses for all of our lives. We've been dealing with bacteria and viruses since we've walked the planet. There's so much that we still don't know about the body and its amazing immune system. So, me personally, I have the inalienable right to pursue my own health outside of the government's dictates. All of us do. And for anyone who's a snitch out there, shame on you. What a disgrace you are. On that note, stay strong, guys. You need to be in